A soldier prays amid the ruins of a destroyed temple. Republic of Vietnam, 1972. Harvesting horseshoe crabs for fertilizer, USA, 1928. For hundreds of years, horseshoe crabs were harvested for fertilizer. This treatment of the species had a significant impact on their population. The day of the assassination attempt. Archduke Ferdinand and his wife, Duchess Sophie of Hohenberg, June 28, 1914. Weapons confiscated from passengers at an airport, Russia, 1991. Advertisement for children's cocaine drops for tooth pain, instant effect, and only 15 cents. A Viet Cong deserter shows Americans how partisans overcome barbed wire obstacles. Vietnam, 1967. A Viet Cong soldier ruins a young man's Western-style haircut and cuts his shirt. Saigon, Vietnam, 1975. A beluga whale weighing 1,102 pounds. Sea of Azov, 1956. An amateur agronomist wins a competition and waits for the award ceremony, California, 1975. German POWs watching a Holocaust film, 1945. Queen landing at Knebworth Park, where the band would play their last concert during Freddie Mercury's lifetime. England, August 9th, 1986. A prisoner at the Dachau concentration camp during a medical experiment, 1943. In ancient Egypt, makeup was worn not only by women, but also by men. 80-year-old cannibal Tom, the last cannibal of Fiji Island, 1905. A rare photo from the Bakumatsu period captures the last keepers of ancient martial arts, the last samurai, Japan, 1860s. Wedding motorcade, Chelyabinsk region, Russia, 1990s. This photograph, taken in 1936, became a symbol of the Great Depression in popular culture. Aloysia Veit, Hitler's cousin. She ended up in a mental asylum with psychosis. Later, she was sent to a gas chamber as a mentally ill person. According to Nazi ideology, the extermination of mentally ill individuals was meant to improve the mental health of the nation. The Japanese listened to the emperor's message about surrender. Japan, 1945. A civilian collects drinking water from a puddle during a lull in fighting. Grozny, 1995. Toys of children, prisoners of the Nazi death camp Majdanek, discovered after liberation by Soviet soldiers, 1944. The baptism of the smallest member of the ultra-right Ku Klux Klan organization, USA, 1920. Grand Duke Michael Alexandrovich, 1900s. The arrest of Rosa Parks for refusing to move to the whites-only section of the bus, USA, 1956. Dice made of human bones found during a search of the home of Ed Gein, American serial killer, necrophile, and body snatcher. He is one of the most notorious serial killers in U.S. history. Child gas mask, England, 1938. The first feminists, 1911. A white girl and a slave girl, 1880, Brazilian Empire. Emperor Wilhelm II of Germany visits black people at the Hamburg Zoo, 1909. Wrestler Adrian Street with his father, a coal miner, 1973. Excited girls at the first Chippendales Club, Los Angeles, 1979. Chippendales was a dance troupe, most famous for their male striptease performances. An ordinary American bar from 1941 with a sign that says, "They don't serve beer to Indians." The pear of anguish was invented in the 16th century and used to punish women for adultery and abortions. It was inserted into the intimate area and the screw was turned, causing infernal torment. Manchester United footballer Eric Cantona attacks a Crystal Palace fan, 1995. President Bill Clinton misses a football pass during a game at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, USA, 1993. The eruption of Kluchevskaya Sopka, taken from space, Russia, 1994. A Chinese suicide bomber puts on a vest with hand grenades before charging a Japanese tank, Shandong Province, spring 1938. Red Light District, Amsterdam, 1968. A lesson in an improvised school, Hiroshima, Japan, 1946. Times when sheep were used as natural lawnmowers in London parks, 1926. US, 1951. Prettiest legs contest. Women wore pillowcases over their heads to keep the focus on their legs. From 1932 to 1945, Japan enslaved over 200,000 Korean women. Ashamed of the past, many of them preferred death or a life in complete solitude, never returning to a normal life. Walter Smith, a bandit, the scourge of the streets, Australia, 1924. Smith didn't like using weapons and killed people with his bare hands, carefully twisting their heads. The criminal case note reads, "Very dangerous, strongly exhibits sadistic tendencies, may bite." Sailors of the Italian tall ship Amerigo Vespucci saying goodbye to their wives, Naples, 1963. Samsung office trading fruits and fish, Korea, 1938. This was the beginning of the Samsung empire. Fish sale, halibut catch, Netherlands, 1913. In 1954, American Dawn Pointer introduced whiskey-flavored toothpaste. With 3% alcohol content, it quickly gained popularity among liquor enthusiasts. Captain Takatsugu Jojima, commander of the Japanese aircraft carrier Shokaku, watches planes take off for the attack on Pearl Harbor on the morning of December 7, 1941. A 23-year-old man who switched from the communists to the side of the South Vietnamese government was captured by the communists and spent a month in a concentration camp where he was deliberately starved. In the photo is Geronimo on horseback, the leader of the Chiricahua Apache, the last tribe to resist the reservations. The Apache fought to the end. 1,887. Polish athlete Stanislawa Wałęsiewicz won the 100-meter race at the 1932 Olympics, setting a world record. Only after her death in 1980, during an autopsy, was it determined by her genitalia that she was male, although she had both male and female sets of chromosomes. German soldiers carry the coffin with the remains of Napoleon II, the only legitimate son of Napoleon. Paris, December 1940. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that people with genetic abnormalities were born from the sexual act of a woman and Satan, so no one faced any responsibility for killing such a person. 1855, inviting the wealthy to a slave fair to buy humans. Scottish physicist Robert Watson Watt was once stopped by a police officer for speeding, after which he said, "If I had known what you would do with it, I would never have invented radar." 16-year-old Hitler Youth member Kay Puncheller listens as an American sergeant reads out a life sentence for war crimes, 1945. A mother teaches her children, Louisiana, USA, 1937. Beware of vicious dog, sign, 1940s. In 1931, Azuba Su was discovered in Marrakesh, living naked in a cave and eating raw meat. The yellow press dubbed him the last Neanderthal, but scientists later linked his condition to microcephaly. Photos of Titanic survivors. Lolo and Michelle reunited with their mother, 16 of May 1912. A black woman protects a racist from an angry mob, 1996. An elephant escaping from a monorail car, Germany, 1950. Allied soldier inside a lookout tree, 1918. Initially, trees near the trench line were selected for this purpose. Then, photographs of these trees were taken from different angles, and high-quality models were made, which were later installed at night in place of the cut-down trees. Children build an improvised Berlin Wall. West Berlin, October 1961. Jews arrested after Kristallnacht brought to Buchenwald, November 1938. The 1950s. A woman using Wilhelm Reich's orgone accumulator, a pseudo-scientific device claimed to collect life energy and cure radiation sickness. Regardless of its scientific merit, it was certainly beneficial. As one husband remarked, his wife sits silently in that box for 4 hours every day. A man convicted of social parasitism, tuniatstvo, stands in court. In the USSR, unemployment was considered a crime. This man, who hadn't worked for a year, was sentenced to 1.5 years of corrective labor, 1987. Germans with local Russian women in occupied territory, 1943. The Last of the Mohicans, an indigenous girl, 1960s. An artificial tree used by the British Army as an observation point during World War I. It was once often said how honorable and beautiful it was to die for the homeland. But in modern wars, there is nothing honorable or beautiful. You will die like a dog, and for no reason. Ernest Hemingway. As punishment, a French woman who had a relationship with a German is shaved bald, 1945. A Dallas police officer holds the rifle that, according to the investigation, was used to kill John Kennedy, 1963. Replica dog tags of every soldier who never made it back from Vietnam. Man in a rooster costume, late 19th century. The arrest of Martin Luther King for suing for service in a white-only restaurant, 1964. Most of our knowledge about hypothermia comes from horrific human experiments conducted in Nazi Germany. A look at 2,000 yards, or a distant gaze. An unfocused gaze often observed in soldiers who have experienced combat trauma. American military operation Rolling Thunder. U.S. pilots flew 304,000 combat missions, dropping nearly 8 million tons of bombs on Vietnam. Geishas were initially men called taikomochi. Until the 17th century, they served as jesters to Japanese feudal lords, but this job gradually lost popularity. The first female geisha appeared only in the mid-18th century. A brave child calls the police to protect his mother from being beaten by his father, 1987. Inside someone's locket, 1940s. In the 13th century near Paris, the giant gallows of Montfaucon were built, which have not survived to this day. Executions for 50 people could be carried out there simultaneously. Police confronting Mike Tyson after he bit off part of Evander Holyfield's ear, 1996. The Football War, 1969. A 6-day military conflict between El Salvador and Honduras. The pretext for the war was the loss of the Honduran team to the Salvadoran team in the playoff matches of the World Cup qualifying stage. During World War II, the Soviet Army trained suicide dogs intended to destroy enemy tanks. Hungry dogs were trained to find food under mock tanks. In combat, the dogs were strapped with explosives and sent under approaching tanks, where they were supposed to die. Until 1887, all runners stood at the starting line upright, waiting for the signal to begin running. But one day, American sprinter Cheryl, while walking through a zoo, noticed that kangaroos squat before moving. So, at his first competition, Cheryl took a crouching start. The audience and competitors laughed for a long time, but Cheryl won the race with his unusual start. The attack on the Prime Minister of India, Rajiv Gandhi, 1987. During Gandhi's official visit to Sri Lanka, one of the soldiers in the honor guard struck him with his rifle butt. Vice Admiral, his wife, and a Rear Admiral stand before a ceremonial cake celebrating the successful U.S. atomic tests at Bikini Atoll, 1946. German soldiers preparing the execution of Yugoslav partisan Lepa Radic, Yugoslavia, 1943. A soldier's knees give way when popular actress Linda Darnell invites him to dance, 1940s. Spruce trees hung over a road to camouflage it from the air, Finland 10 kilometers from the Soviet border, 1941. Training Royal African shooters to drive, 1943. A stone on the head trains the students to keep their heads up and keep their eyes on the road. Hussein Obama, the father of U.S. President Barack Obama, also served here. Chimpanzee Jiggs shares the boredom of a shooting day with actress Dorothy Lamour, 1938. During the Genkai Marathon, Kenyan runner Jacqueline Kiplimo slowed down to help a disabled athlete drink water at hydration points, running with him for 28 kilometers. Because of this, she finished second but did not regret her actions. A narcotics officer after a raid on a drug den, USA, 1993. Adolf Hitler visits the Dresden exhibition of degenerate art, 1935. American serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer accidentally took sleeping pills instead of his intended victim and, upon waking, found himself tied up and raped with a candle. A crowd of 300,000 gathered on Shanghai's waterfront to celebrate the new year. From the upper floors of a skyscraper, coupons resembling US dollars were thrown with the message, "Happy 2015," causing a stampede. 36 dead, 49 injured. China, 2014. The photo shows the astronauts of the Challenger shuttle, NASA, January 28, 1986. The spacecraft exploded 73 seconds after launch. All 7 crew members died. Whether this clip sparked joy, anger, or just a bit of annoyance, I want to hear your thoughts below. Stick around for part 2 coming soon. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you!